Hello everybody and welcome to the final video in this tutorial series where I'll be talking to you about next steps and what you can actually build with Cartesi. Now the reality is you can build pretty much anything you can imagine, and that's because with a framework like Cartesi you're not limited by the language or the technology. You can go and use Python, you can use JavaScript, you can use the languages you already know, and that immediately should give you a lot more ideas than if you had to build something in a traditional Web3 environment using something like Solidity. In this video though, what I'll do is show you a few examples of projects that have already been built using Cartesi just to give you some inspiration and kind of show you what's actually possible. So with that said, let's hop over to the computer here, let me go through a few examples, and we'll talk about how you can get started building some real-world projects today. Alright, so I'm back on the Rollup Lab website here. Highly recommend you check this out. It'll be linked in the description, and this is where there's a bunch of projects that are either being worked on or already completed that use Cartesi. Now, as a reminder, if you do actually want to build something out, you could be eligible for some grant money, meaning you get paid just to work on a project that you want to build. If you want to check that out, there will be a link in the description, and you can actually set up a meeting and talk completely for free to some of the Cartesi staff, and you can run through an idea that you have, and they can kind of let you know if it's worth building, if you could be eligible for a grant, etc. So check out the links in the description, but let's go through a few of the projects. So Cartesi does a bunch of hackathons, and they also just have community members that are constantly working on projects. I'm going to show you some that are fully finished, but as we scroll through the page here, you can see there's just so many different projects. For example, Cartesian Battleship. There is a chess one. I actually really want this one to come out so I can try it because I play chess all the time, but this is where you could actually wager ethereum or you could wager cryptocurrency on a chess game. I think that'd be pretty cool. There's Biometrics Classifier, Liquidator. You can see a bunch of these are just being worked on or a proof of concept, but some of them are actually finished or built during something like a hackathon. Now let me show you one that's actually fully built and we can look at a quick demo of it. So this is called DCA Monster. Now DCA stands for dollar cost averaging, and this is the idea of buying into a market at a certain frequency. So for example, every week, every day, every month, every year, and the idea is if you buy a small amount at a certain frequency, your investment is kind of going to follow the trend of that market. So if it's slowly going up over time, it will slowly go up. Now this is a risk mitigation strategy. So instead of putting all your money in at once and potentially buying really high or I guess really low, you're kind of mitigating that and you're putting in a large sum over a period of time so that the fluctuations in the market aren't going to affect your overall investment as much. I'm not an investment advisor, so take what I say with a grain of salt here, but that's the basic idea. So the thing is, on the blockchain or doing this with cryptocurrency is actually pretty difficult, and a lot of times to do this there's some bugs. You got to use a centralized exchange. It's just not ideal. So this project is actually built to allow you to do this using Uniswap. So I can actually go to their webpage here, which is dca-monster.vercel.app, and you can see that there's actually a way here to select the token that you want to buy with, the token that you'd like to buy, when you want to start, when you want to end, etc. And this will do a dollar cost average for you and automatically buy the token. Now, I'm obviously not going to go through and actually do this myself, but you can see that you can select the token address, etc. And this is a functioning decentralized app that was built with Cartesi. Now, the next project that was built is something called BugLess. Now, this was built during a hackathon, and Cartesi informed me that they do plan to actually improve this and move it forward. But what this does is implement a bug bounty on the blockchain or using Web3. Now, if you're unfamiliar with a bug bounty, this is typically a program set out by some kind of company that has some software, and they say, hey, if you find a bug in our software, we're going to pay you X amount of dollars. Typically, that amount is going to depend on the severity of the bug, but for example, Google has had bug bounty programs that are like $1 million for certain security bugs, etc. Now, obviously, the issue with this is that the company controls the flow of money. They control how much that bounty is going to be. They could change that at any point in time. There's no guarantee that they're necessarily going to pay you. So putting this on the blockchain just removes all of that uncertainty and allows this to be handled by a smart contract or a Cartesi decentralized application. So there's no question on what the amount is, if you're going to get paid, etc. Now, we could read through the description here if we want. I can link this in the description for you guys to check out. But pretty much what this does is implement the bug bounty program using Cartesi. So through a friendly web interface, anyone can submit applications and sponsor them with Ether to incentivize hackers. All major wallets are supported. Meanwhile, hackers can test their exploits right on the browser without even having to sign Web3 transactions. Once the hacker finds a valid exploit, they can finally send a transaction requesting the reward be transferred to their account. If, however, no one is able to submit a valid exploit until a certain deadline, the sponsors may request a refund. So kind of like a marketplace almost, where people can submit a project, say, hey, find some bug. If you find a bug, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars. They find it, they submit it, and then they can get paid directly to their wallet. This also means that it's anonymous, which is another great thing about Web3. Moving on, the next project that was built a long time ago using Cartesi is something called Texas HODL'em Poker, kind of a play on words of Texas Hold'em. Now, this is a decentralized Texas Hold'em poker game using Cartesi. Again, built a long time ago, so it doesn't use the whole up-to-date Cartesi framework. Not something I'd recommend using as a code reference, but kind of a cool idea that illustrates the power of Web3 and the advantage of doing something like gambling or games like this in a decentralized fashion. Now, I don't know if this story is completely accurate that I'm about to tell you, but this is what I remember hearing. A while ago, there was actually a poker website that had a pretty big exploit or scam on it. Essentially, one of the players that was playing could actually see everybody's cards while they were playing. This was real money, real gambling, and this person obviously scammed a bunch of people, exploited them out of a bunch of money. And the reason why that was even possible is because this site was ran centralized. There was someone controlling it. They could easily change things. They could let other people see your cards. And that's the issue when you're doing anything involving money with a central source. You need to actually trust them, right? Even things like banks, other entities that you'd hope you'd be able to trust, they can oftentimes do things that are a little bit sketchy, especially in maybe less developed nations, etc. And you want to be careful any type of entity that you're trusting, especially with your money. So when it comes to gambling, when it comes to staking money, when it comes to holding money, it's obviously more advantageous to do that in a decentralized way because you can trust the source. It's trustless. You can go and verify the code. You can read it for yourself. You know it's running in a decentralized manner, and there's no central control. No one can go in there and change things, flip around settings, etc. So just an example of a project that obviously takes advantage of Web3 in that trustless environment. All right, so excuse the quick change in location here. I'm actually in a different country while filming this part of the video, but I realized when I was watching it back, I forgot to include a really great example, which really demonstrates how cool some of this technology is. So this here is called World Arcade. Now this actually allows you to play a game in your web browser and then kind of save the snapshot or replay of that game and then submit it to the blockchain where it's verifiable. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know exactly how all of this works. The Cartesi team shared it with me as a great demo for you, but there is some links that I'll leave in the description that kind of share more details about how this works. So you can read through it. The basic idea is you're kind of running a game in the browser here. You're able to play that game, and then based on the score you get, you can submit that to the blockchain, and that way we can verify who actually got the highest score, and we can trust that information. So it's not just like a hacker submitting a fake score or something. Anyways, here is the famous game of Doom. I can actually play this here. So I've connected my wallet to this application, and you can see we can kind of move around here, and I think I can shoot like this. Honestly, I've never played this game before, so I don't even know what you're supposed to do, which will probably shock some of you. But you get the idea. So I'll play, I'll get my score, I can click on stop. Now it says my gameplay is ready, so I can download the gameplay or I can submit that. So if I submit this, it should pop up MetaMask, and what I can do is actually make a submission here to the blockchain. This is just running on a test network, so you guys can actually mess with it if you want. It should then submit that score, and then eventually we'll be able to see like a list of all of the high scores, who got the best score, who got the worst score, etc. And it's provable and verifiable on the blockchain. Obviously, this can work for other games as well, but a really cool application that kind of demonstrates to you the potential here of using something like Cartesi. If you want to learn more, I'll leave the links in the description so you guys can check it out. Now, there's tons of other projects that I could share with you. I just picked one here that I found interesting. I'm not sure if this is fully finished, but kind of a cool idea. This is called Cartesi. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, and this is a handwritten biometrics tool which can bring traditional security to the world of digital signature-based smart contracts. So obviously we've used things like DocuSign or eSign before. Those are great, but they don't really work in a Web3 environment. So my understanding from kind of reading through the description here is this is meant to kind of mitigate that or add that functionality where there's actually a biometrics tool collateral that you can use to kind of digitally sign something, and it's more secure. It can be minted as an NFT. I'm probably butchering the explanation, but you guys can read through this if you want and kind of have a look at exactly what this does. Anyways, tons of cool projects being built using Cartesi and the Web3 ecosystem in general. Being able to build these with languages that you already know really opens up the possibilities of what you can do. Again, the reality is you can build pretty much anything you want, but obviously if you want to build something in real world, it's going to have to solve some problem and use case, which is why I shared with you a few of the project ideas in this video. With that said, guys, I think I'll wrap up the video here. I want to give a massive thank you to Cartesi for sponsoring this series and to you for watching. If you've made it to video 8, that is a huge accomplishment. Not many people make it through these really long tutorial series, especially when there's a lot of complex code, setup, etc. So if you've made it this far, congratulations. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a lot and that you're looking forward to building some more applications. If you need any help, support, or resources, again, you can contact the Cartesi team from the link in the description. And I look forward to seeing you in another YouTube video.